Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Okay, I think we're live now, except, okay, no. Yes. Okay. Hello. Please, if you're here, say hi. Good evening. How are you doing? I'm trying to get through to Instagram. Perfect. Good evening. Okay, I see you guys now. Good evening. How you doing? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's live session. Welcome. Good evening. Hi, Meg. How are you doing? Good evening. Hi, Janelle. Good evening. How are you? Welcome. If you're here, please type your name in the comments and where you're from. What markets are you currently in? Please type your name in the comments and what markets you're currently in. Good evening. Welcome to our live session. How are you guys doing? Hello. Okay, I see a good chunk of you guys here. Right, let's see. How about here? Okay, cool. Nice. How's everyone doing? Hi, Janaya from Mississippi. Good evening. If you're here, you're joining us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Please type in the comments where you're from and your name. For instance, on Instagram, the names can be phonemes sometimes to pronounce. So please kindly help type that in. Hi, Tony from Chicago. How are you doing? Hello. Okay, so let's get right into good. So let's get right into our session for tonight. While we have anyone joining us newly, just go ahead and type their names in the comments and their location. All right. So just give me a moment here to switch my screen around a little bit. In the meantime, if you have any questions on the current markets or on investing or doing things the right way, just go ahead and type that in the comments. Yes, in the comments. And I will be checking to see what you have. Okay. So, one moment here. I'm gonna shrink this, share. Where's my share button? Hello, 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 welcome. Okay, a little bit of an awkward silence here, but that's okay. Trying to get us to see what I got. Okay, this looks good so far. Okay, cool. I think we're good. Welcome everyone again. Please type in the comments your name, where you're from. Hi Betsy from Atlanta. Good evening. How are you doing? Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about how to safely invest in real estate during uncertain times. Again, my name is Yinka Olumorin. I am a coach on this wonderful, beautiful platform, Acquire Real Estate, where we talk about property, buying, investing in real estate, how to invest, how much you need, how much do you not need, what can you do in real estate, what makes sense to profit from in this day and age, and with high interest, what kind of strategies should you be using for your investing. So we do things like wholesaling, lease options, fix and flips, rentals, if you're thinking long-term rentals, short-term rentals, if you're thinking multifamily, or maybe even new constructions, you're at the right place. Okay, and I do this with Daryl Morin, who's the other coach on our platform, Acquire Real Estate. He's also into everything construction, a licensed builder, custom homes, spec homes, and all the good stuff. But within the community, we pretty much help guide people to achieve their real estate investing goals. Happy to be here. I just did a quick introduction of myself. Please go ahead and keep doing that for yourself as well in the comments. I'd like to get to know you, meet you. And we're going to go right into it tonight. We're going to look at how to invest safely in real estate, particularly during uncertain times. I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think that we are in uncertain? What are your thoughts? Do you think that we are in uncertain times? What do you think of the current real estate market, the terrains right now? What are things looking like? Do you think we're in really good times, or do you think we're in unpredictable times, or do you think we're in uncertain times? If you think we're in uncertain times, type yes. If you think that everything is good, type no. Uncertain times, type yes. If you think everything looks good, type no. No. Let's see what you guys think. I'm really interested in knowing what you think. Do you think everything looks good? Janaya says invest it the right way. Okay, cool. So that's what you would like to know, how to invest the right. Do you think that we are in uncertain times? What's going on right now in the markets? What do we have going on? Is the market looking okay? Or do you think we have some issues going on? Do you think the market is great? Or do you think it could be better? Are there some certain things that you've noticed about the current market? Let me know. Let's see those. Okay, someone said yes. Another person says no. Okay. I like no and I like yes. Adola says no. That tells me something, and that's good. And Curly says yes. And that's also correct. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Right. We're in uncertain times. And I like the yes and no combo because I kind of feel like with my little experience in real estate, maybe not done a completely full market cycle at 10 years ago. Actually, we've gone back and forth in the market within the last 8 years. So in this day and age, 8 years is a full market cycle because we've been in and out, right? I wanna believe that every market has something about it. When we were investing earlier in 2017 or 2018, the market has had some peculiarities. We thought that the market was not 100% okay. And today, we still think the market is not okay. But right now, I would say that the uncertain times that we're dealing with has to do with, let's just say sorry, my reception is bad, closing signal. That's okay. That's okay. So right now we're dealing with high interest rates, right? We're dealing with politics, political issues, right? Political issues that are posing uncertainties, right? And making the markets kind of drift and just shake, really, because sometimes we're wondering where are things really gonna be? Where are we gonna be eventually? Are we gonna be okay? How long is this instability going to be for, so to speak? So those are the, in a nutshell, I would say those are the two big things that we're currently dealing with. We're still dealing with high prices, but I feel like also, like mentioned earlier, there's hardly any market that we consider prices to be low. In 2020, we thought prices were high, and now they're worse. Now they're higher. There's barely any market that we're not complaining as humans. But it's true because if we had an idea what the future looks like, if we knew it was gonna get worse, we could confidently say, "This is a better market. Let's all jump into it." But it's hard to know at 100%. So that's why you have to understand and know how to make the best use of any market you find yourself in. And now that we've defined the current markets, it's going to help you know where to really approach your investing, how to invest the right way. Guess what? The best deals are born out of uncertain times. The best deals are born out of uncertain times. Why is that? Why do you think we get the best deals when times are looking interesting? When we're not sure which way it's gonna be. One reason definitely is that you have less competition, right? Everyone is afraid. Everyone is shrinking into their shell. You have less competition when everyone sees that there is a problem. When most people see there's a problem, then you're dealing with less competition. But what if in an uncertain time, you're the only one that sees a safety net? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? If you're the only one that sees a safety nets at times like this or at uncertain times, is that good or bad? Is that a good thing that you're seeing, you know exactly how to go about investing? It is, right? So it's not a bad thing at all. You're not putting yourself at risk. You know what to do when times are looking weird, when everybody runs away. And you have less competition because you're out there doing what you know best, and people think you're crazy. So it's definitely a good thing when you're out there investing out of knowledge of what to do at different market times. Okay. So that's extremely good because You've cut down your competition, you can do better. You're a better investor for that reason. You're a savvy investor. I remember what happened with COVID, which was an extremely uncertain season. Many people were unsure how to even evaluate properties or whether the markets will fall flat or not. There were a lot of questions like, how do I even calculate my ARV? How is anybody gonna be working? What can I do? Who's even interested in real estate? Everyone is thinking of how to stay alive. There were so many questions. But guess what? People who continued to do real estate investing during COVID were the ones who succeeded the most. Because by the time other people realized, it was already late. The best deals were gone, right? The interest rates had started to switch over. I remember then, not many people were doing short-term rentals, but we were doing short-term rentals. We didn't have a lot of competition, right? We didn't have competition. They didn't have to worry about that. We bought more properties, which contributed to a significant part of our over 50 deal experience. We understood how to take advantage of the downside of the market and make hundreds of thousands, right? So that's what adversity does to you. When you know what to do, when you know what you're doing, then you stand out strong. The same way the current market today does offer its own fair of opportunities. So for those of you who understand what to do rather than hide, you'll be able to really thrive and succeed. And that's really what I want to talk about today. If you have any questions, you can type those in the comments and we'll get to them. So tonight, I really want to look really quickly at how to protect. Um, you definitely want you to know tonight how to protect your money while investing. Okay. And I'm sure that's why you're here. So you're gonna know that tonight, how to protect your money while investing, strategies to find deals when the rates are high, like right now, and how to build confidence to take action in any climate. Okay. So what are some fears you guys are having about real estate investing? I'm gonna pause because I want to hear, kind of get a feel of the temperature on fears. What kind of fears do you have currently? Can you type in the comments what your issue is? What do you think about sometimes and feel like you're not sure this is what are you afraid of right now? Or what are people mostly afraid of in the current climate? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of right now? What are some things that cause you to fear right now? Please type in the comments, and I'm willing to wait to see that. What are some fears you're having about real estate investing, or some fears that somebody else has shared with you? If you don't want to share that directly, we're gonna assume somebody else shared that fear with you. So, what fears are you having currently? What fears are you having about investing in real estate? What's scary to you at this time? I know the comments, sometimes when you send that, it takes me a little bit to get that. I wish we didn't have that lag, but yes. Type your fears in the comments. What are you afraid of? I want to see that. And we're gonna discuss. I know some people are afraid of losing money because I've heard that so many times. Consulting with you guys or just listening to you tell your story or talk, a lot of people are afraid of losing money, which is a legitimate fear, right? You don't want to lose money. I will mention high interest. You don't want to be stuck with a high interest. It's so funny because some people have no clue how the high interest would really impact them, whether they were supposed to make X amount of money and then eventually they they don't even know what they're gonna next, right? So when people are afraid of high interest, just like a very general thing, they're not it's not tangible to say I'm gonna lose money because of high interest because they don't know for sure, right? Hey, Shardisha, good evening. I see your comment to say not being able to refinance out of hard money loan. That's a valid fear. And there are some things that make that happen, right? So, Shadisha, I'm going to ask you again, is it possible to prepare in advance for this not to happen? Is it possible? Yes or no? You don't have to tell me. I know you know, but you don't have to. Okay, due to change in air we have to rehab. So, what would you say is the solution to that to that fear? So, rather than being afraid, first of all, is that property good with rentals? Is that a good rental number? So do you think I'm just gonna ask you on the surface because there are a lot of layers to this. Do you think that there is possibly something that can help to avoid that from happening while analyzing it, right? And we're definitely gonna talk about that tonight. Okay. Some people are afraid of market crash. They feel like, "What if the market just crashes?" I don't know, like, the world is going crazy and the market could just crash, right? But when the market crashes, what happens? The people stop renting houses, or rental prices is gonna become cheaper, is labor gonna become so cheap, or houses gonna be so cheap, everyone is picking them off the street, or what exactly is the value of this fear? What is you see how it can be really general? Like, give me an example on a property, right? And like Shradisha said, so Shradisha is responding in a comment saying, yes, it is possible. Okay, cool. So now that's how to be a savvy investor. There is the fear, but there is also the solution. But if you're not armed with the solution ahead of time, then yeah, it could, right? And that's why you're here, trying to understand, trying to learn. So if the market crashes, is there a way for you to prepare your deal in advance for a market crash? Can you make your deal market crash proof? Yes, you can. You can make your deal market crash proof. How about finding tenants? And I don't know why, but some people feel like they ask questions like, "What if I don't find a tenant?" I get that question more than I should be getting. What if I don't find a tenant? Now, with this high interest rates, do you think most people are renting or buying properties? Do you think we have more renters than buyers? Sure, right? We definitely have more renters than buyers, right? So why are you afraid of finding tenants? Actually, when I speak with tenants and people on the other side who are not investing in real estate, they are looking for suitable housing. I know someone who's been looking for a whole year looking for a house to rent that makes sense. A house that makes sense. And that's our niche as investors because each time we make a house make sense, we're even actually adding to the equity and adding more money to our pocket. So what an opportunity. Finding tenants is not a question, right? Uncertainty in job or income and politics and everything that's going on that we cannot control. So maybe because we can't control things happen in the world, we now choose to not do anything, right? We always don't have control. We have no clue where stocks are gonna be. We have no clue what's gonna be in the news that's gonna drop the market's value of things like stocks and bonds and all of but we should have a clue what to do on our own end to remain successful and relevant in any market. So I hear about that certain job. You don't know if you're gonna lose your job. The more reason why you should buy properties right now. We know how many people have lost their jobs, unfortunately, right? So this helps you actually prepare and ask yourself, what are my options? And then I know people who are just afraid. They're freaking out. They can't really pinpoint what the issue is. They're just afraid of doing it. I will call these folks I don't know category because it's almost like a combination of everything. It's almost like really nothing. If you ask me, what am I afraid of? I can't really say this. Just afraid of stepping. I'm just afraid of doing something new. If you fall under this category, type IDK in the comments. I don't know. Type IDK in the comments if you're like someone that's just so fearful. You're just afraid. Maybe it's a combination. So which of these fears really resonates with you? Are you thinking you're afraid of losing money? Are you thinking the interest rates are too high? Are you thinking the market might crash? Are you thinking it's really hard to find tenants? Are you thinking that the job market is uncertain? Maybe you're going to be losing your source of income, or you're just afraid of everything. It's just ballpark. You have no clue. You can't really pinpoint. Or maybe you're really just thinking it's everything, right? So which of these fears resonates with you? Because lots of people are. Now we're gonna just go right into strategies to invest safely. And if you're new here, just joining us, please type in the comments your name and what town or what state you're from so we can know you, get to know you better. Your name and what state or town you're from. Now, I would like to show you some strategies on how to invest safely. The first thing right here is to buy for cash flow and not just appreciation. So appreciation is when the value of your market property is going higher as the years go by, right? And some people say, I want to buy in this area because it's a good area, because I've watched the appreciation trend in this area. Property values are so high right now. But what if the market flips or slows down? Hi, Adela from Sacramento. Thank you for joining here. What if the market flips or slows down on appreciation? What if it used to appreciate, but now it's really slowed down? And you don't have control over that, right? So cash flow protects you in down markets. Cash flow is what protects you. What is cash flow? Cash flow is the difference between your income and expenses on the property. They pay rent, you have your expenses like your mortgage and maybe utilities depending on the kind of property, right? And the difference is what you make on a monthly basis. So cash flow protects you in down markets, whether the property's value goes up or goes down. It doesn't matter right now. Whether the market is flipping around, it doesn't matter right now. All that matters is you're making money off of this property, and appreciation will not fail you long term. But if you're thinking, I'm just gonna go into a negative property right now because at least I'm gonna gain $50,000 in equity in the next 5 years, for instance. Let's say you're speculating that, and every month you make some money. What if the $50,000 doesn't happen in the next 5 years? What if, right? And what if you've been paying a little bit of money out of pocket the whole time? 12 times 5 years, that's how many months you've been paying out of pocket. Guess what? I have seen people do this, and it's crazy. What if it doesn't happen that way? So appreciation should be an icing on the cake, and cash flow should be the main thing. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that. Appreciation should be an icing on the cake, and cash flow should be the main deal. Okay. So when you do this, you're ready for however way the market goes. Okay. And then number two, you want to use conservative underwriting. Underwriting in this regard simply means analysis, analyzing your property. That means you're using local rents estimates, for example, right? So you're not overestimating that your property is going to give you a high income higher than what you're seeing around you just because you did something special to the property. That means that you're using higher expenses as estimates. You're giving room for eventualities. What if something happens? You're giving room for errors and a lot of errors. You're looking at the lowest comp that's sold in that area, and you're thinking, what if goes this bad, right? Yeah. Sometimes you're looking at the higher comps, but what if the lowest comp also looks just like your property, right? What if you can go a little bit below the ARV or the average market value and analyze your property that way? You need to factor in vacancies. What if your tenant needs to move? What if you need to turn over, switch from one tenant to another? You might have a month where you're not getting that income. That must be factored in. That's what investors factor in all this, including maintenance and repairs. Capital expenditures. And capital expenditures mean things like a furnace. Right? What if the furnace breaks down? Of the electricals, if there's a big issue, you need to upgrade. What if the heating system breaks down? All those are factored in before you even buy the deal. And you can see the whole you can see a pro forma is what we call it. What's gonna happen the first year? What would the second year look like? What would the third year look like while you're investing in this property? If you're not doing that, then the markets is you're not gonna be able to withstand any changes in the markets. If you're only estimating for right now, you're not looking into the future, then you're leaving a lot of room for failure, okay? And number 3 thing you wanna do is to prioritize location stability. So you wanna buy in areas with job diversity and strong rental demands, okay? So you wanna buy in growing markets where industries are moving in versus moving out. You don't wanna buy where companies are moving out. For example, did some tech companies move to re where did some tech companies move to recently? Let's see if who's gonna get that right, and I'll try to figure out maybe a gift, I don't know. We'll see. Uh, let's see, what or where rather did some tech companies move to recently? And maybe even from where? Recently, there has been a movement of tech companies from one location to another, and no one has a clue here where things have moved recently. If you know that, type it in the comment. I'm not gonna say yes. 'Cause I would like to go back to see if somebody got that right. Okay, so see already, Adiola, I owe you something. Right, Adiola says Austin, Texas, right? So they moved to Austin, Texas. From where? California, right? For example, and we have this kind of events concurrently. We're seeing those. We're seeing a place that's starting to host tourism better, right? We're seeing all of these moves. And you're not choosing to now invest where people are moving out. The same way people moving for jobs. You're not choosing to invest where there are a lot of people moving out to other areas for jobs. You want to invest where people are moving into. So you want to look out for those kind of areas. And as a real estate investor, that's really what you're doing there. To do research, you're checking, you're looking at resources, valuable resources, the best way places to invest. You're putting numbers together and making sure it makes sense. It's not a luxury, it's not a hobby, right? It's not a hobby. It's a task. You gotta do it, and it makes it even more fun because now you have a reason for doing what you're doing. Now you're more confident investing because you know why you chose that area. After hearing that in the news, for instance, you're still going to go back and plug your numbers in, right? To verify that things are good. Thank you. Yes, exactly. California, Texas. Exactly, right? So you want to prioritize location stability. You want to go to stable areas, stable locations. If, for instance, you are in or stuck in an unstable location, right? Or for instance, maybe where you currently reside is an unstable location, but you want to also invest in there because you see opportunities. I tell you, opportunities are not only in areas near, okay? So because sometimes too, when you hear things in the news, you better believe that most investors are trying to move there, right? So when you're aware of some opportunities outside of the general um, population's understanding awareness, then you have an edge. Then you're away from competition, right? So if you're investing locally, rather than choosing two-bedroom properties, for instance, maybe you want to look at three-bedroom properties. So that regardless of whether people move in or out, you still have a really valid, really strong vacancy. Really strong occupancy, right? So you want to cut down on that vacancy because you're going to see that three-bedroom properties are occupied for a longer period of time. Why is that? Because families, right? Families love stability. Families would rather move from two-bedroom properties to three-bedroom properties because they might be growing, might be expanding, you might just want more space. Even people who are growing financially, even if they weren't growing physically in numbers, they still want a better accommodation, a bigger accommodation, more roomy. Maybe people who are working um, virtually would prefer that extra room to convert to an office if the property doesn't have a separate office, right? So there's like little things you can do even within your location, even regardless of where you are, even if you're still in Austin. I'm not gonna say because people are moving, or even if you're still in California and invest in California, I'm not gonna say because people are moving out, then you can't stop. I think it's gonna get better, right? But there's some strategies that you also would look at locally. What can make you more attractive at that point? Okay. And because of inflation, you're lucky. You're not gonna hopefully not gonna need to drop down your rent price, right? 'Cause that's unheard of, right? It is what it is, right? You're not gonna it's not a drastic change, and that's why I love real estate. You're not just losing money in that way. For some people who feel like they haven't made something on their deal and they they hold on to that property, it's just a matter of time for that property to improve and puff out what is owed, for instance, right? Except to sell the property at a loss, which you also would try to avoid. You try to avoid that by knowing your numbers ahead, right? So definitely your research is very important. Research is very important. The more margin you leave, the better. The location of the property, the location of your investment is equally as important. The other thing you want to do right here is you want to stress test your deals. What does that mean? Stress tests means making sure your deal goes through the what if situations. What are the things that you think will stress you out if that happens? What are the kind of situations that you are trying to avoid? What if rents drop by 10%, for instance, right? What if the rates of certain things go up by 10%? What if appreciation doesn't happen the way you thought? What's gonna happen? So you wanna stress test your deals. And you can even go back to your fears and say, will this deal help conquer this fear? Or how can I make this deal conquer this fear? Okay. So definitely want to stress test your deals so that you don't get to that point where you, 'cause like Shardisha said, I said yes. At that point, you want to stress test that deal and say, what if I have a hard time refinancing? Then you're gonna work it backwards. What are the things that can make me have a hard time refinancing this property with a lender? And then on a scenario by scenario basis, you're checking things off and making sure that doesn't happen. And if that deal is not passing, just let it go. Sometimes the best investments we make are not in the deals we bought, but in the deals that we let go. Okay? So sometimes letting a deal go is extremely valuable. Puts money in your pocket, even though you're not seeing that, right? So absolutely, you want to stress test your deals. Number five, you want to keep reserve funds. I know you might be thinking, where am I going to find funds? How do I do this? But that's not what this means. So keeping reserve funds in this scenario means you want to set aside from your cash flow or um, setting miscellaneous expenses and separate those from your cash flow. So that means how much you're going to keep aside from rent payments to take care of things like vacancies and repairs. So you're not gonna say, um, the tenant is paying 2,000. I I am paying 1,500 in mortgage, so my cash flow is 500. And that's not even how our deal analyzers are built. They're built in such a way that trying to get you to take things off before you even see how much your cash flow would be, right? So it's a must. You must have reserve funds, and that's why you hear horror stories of friend was broke, I had to pay out of pocket. Okay. So now that money has to now come from your cash flow for the year instead of it coming from the reserve funds from cash or from rent payments or income. So from that income, you have reserve funds, you have expenses taken out, then you have your cash flow, which is the money that you have access to, or the money that you consider that you have access to. So having reserves is extremely important, or incorporating reserves into your process is extremely okay. And then here, definitely invest in education and community. Learning from others definitely reduces costly mistakes. So you want to know ahead of time. That's a big money savings. And most times, the cost of investing in yourself or in your education is way less than how much you can lose on a deal if you don't do it right. Right? And a lot of times, it will put a lot more money in your pocket. So even if you didn't make mistakes, for instance, because you knew 100% what you were doing, but I don't know how you can do that without learning, right? Let's say you just had there was a certain amount you were gonna net, and now you're talking to someone like Coach Dari, for instance, and that's because a lot of people tell me how valuable goes into that deal and looks at what to do in the property, like repairs, and from that, a student can save like 10,000, 5,000, 15,000. So you might feel the pinch of investing in your education and in a community. But at the end of the day, you're way better off. You're making more money, the big return on investment, your ROI. So definitely you want to think about that. So you don't it's and it's not about just going from one YouTube video to another, because sometimes it's hard to connect everything together. It's not comprehensive enough, and you do a good job trying to link things up, but there are definitely gonna be gaps in real life where you feel like, "Oh, it's not connecting. There's definitely something I'm missing." So, it definitely makes sense to invest in your growth and education. And as I always say, even if it's not this community, make sure you're doing that and not hanging around in different places for free. Make sure you're finding a coach that you can understand, that can work with you on a one-on-one basis, preferably, or however way you prefer, because not everybody thrives with one-on-one, and most people love one-on-one, being able to talk to someone. So wherever you choose to do that, make sure to invest in your education if you haven't already, and also in a valuable community. Okay, so uncertain times creates the tremendous opportunities that you see. Uncertain times create tremendous opportunities. Uncertain times creates tremendous opportunities. What are some of the opportunities that exist in the current market? We have high rents going on. So even though you're thinking of all these problems, there's some things that are working for this market. We have, so have a strong rental demand. You can also see less competition from buyers, right? Some competition, but if the market was way better than this, there would be definitely more competition, right? You can even find motivated sellers, right? And that will open doors to creative financing opportunities because of the way the market is. And then later on, let's say you got into this deal. Later on, if interest rates drop, you've just stolen, you've basically just eaten cake and having it, right? Because they say you can't eat your cake and have it. So you eat your cake and have it when you're doing what you should do in a market that doesn't seem perfect. And then when things are perfect, let's say if interest rates, for instance, eventually drop, then you can refinance out of that high interest property and you see that you've maintained that low price because you cannot have low interest, low price. They don't go together. It's one or the other within a time frame. So if you're waiting, you're not going to be able to take advantage of low pricing, right? So you're going to have low interest, but you're going to have high price, and at the end of the day, your monthly payment is the same, or even worse, right? Depending on how high the pricing is. But the best way is when you're acting fast in a market like this. But you can't just act fast, um, just going based off of impulse, right? You have to act fast based on, first of all, arming yourself with the right information, knowledge, and strategies to excel, and then going for it. So at that point, you're taking advantage of optimal pricing and also eventually be able to switch effortlessly into a better rate. So a win-win for you. So definitely, we're seeing this kind of opportunities right now. Let's have opportunities to negotiate. So you're negotiating credits, you're negotiating repairs, you're negotiating everything because hey, the market is tough, right? Relatively, because every market is tough in my opinion, but relatively you're seeing that and you're able to present that to the seller and say, hey, let's these are my reasons. You're learning the art of negotiation, right? These are my reasons, and this is what you see. The seller is gonna see what you're saying, and they're gonna say, you know what, this actually would apply to any other buyers. So I might as well compromise on that right now just to make sure I'm giving a fair deal to everyone. Good evening, beautiful brand. How are you? Right? So absolutely important to understand the good things that are happening in any market, whether you feel like it's a good market or not. You need to understand what's working in that market and take advantage of it. Okay. The resource for tonight is a safe investment checklist. So, this checklist will help you assess any deal confidently and make sure you protect your money. And that way you can keep building wealth in real estate, even in uncertain markets. So, if you want that resource, type resource in the comments and we're going to hang around until just to make sure everyone is captured to receive their resource. So type resource in the comments if you want that resource. And also, if you want to be in coaching, type coaching in the comments. Talking about investing your education, there's no better way to save money than to be prepared in advance. Ignorance will cost you a lot of money, especially in the real estate world. So I encourage you to join our community of like-minded people who are doing this year round and also enjoying our guidance along the way. So type coaching in the comments if you'd like to join the community. If you're here and you're all set, also remember type resources in the comments. I just want everyone to say good night, everyone. Have a great night. Please just say good night in the comments. Say hi, good night, and we should be good. Meg, let me know if you need anything to got everyone. Usually there's a lag again. So the comments are just coming in on my end. So alongside that, please type good night in the comments. And I'm gonna say good night to everyone and we should be good for the night. I don't see any questions. Hopefully this was comprehensive enough. And also if you type coaching in the comments, it gives you an outlet to schedule a call where you can discuss any questions. I don't see any questions. Just in case you have a question, you can do that on your call schedule. Type resource in the comments. And also, Meg is saying, please check your DM later. Sometimes it goes to spam, especially if you haven't communicated before. So be aware of that. So type resource in the comments to get your safe investing checklist in case you're just joining for any reason. Type resource in the comments to get your safe investing checklist. And also type coaching in the comments if you're looking to get help in the real estate investing world. It's been a great time tonight, and I want to wish you all a great night rest. And I'll see you on the next one.